Namaste, Jai Bharat. Every society ought to have, if they don't have, they ought to have some values specific to them, some norms specific to them. Putting all these things together, one can say that is a culture of a society which gets extended to the concept of a nation. A nation should have, in one word, a national character, a national knowledge tradition, national way of thinking and doing, national way of existence, in other words. So, an important, in fact, one of the most important ingredients to the creation of this national character is the kind of education, the type of education, or the pattern of education that happens, that functions as an institution in the society, the nation society. Now, here, in a nation like Bharat also, there is a parallel kind of education going on. A parallel kind of education like the Madrassa education. Let's see what is the Madrassa education. In many places, children don't go to schools, they go to madrasas instead. Most likely, the parents are sending children to madrasas with the hope that their character gets formulated and refined in the religion which they believe in. They hope that religion is going to correct them and make them better human beings. But most likely it is with this expectation they send their children to madrasas, and also they send their children to madrasas because they hope their God is always taking care of such people who's given this kind of godly education. This is what probably people might presume. I presume this. That's why this is what they must be presuming. Now, what's happening in the madrasas of my nation, Bharat? We have a parallel education. And you look at the madrasa trained people, in spite of whatever other education they may get outside, their fundamentals are already patterned and programmed. They are indeed programmed to become fanatics. They're indeed programmed to become fanatics. And that fanaticism is to the extent that, number one, I am right, or our religion is right, whatever is taught in our religion is right, number one. Number two, our religion is the only right religion in the world. That's the second serious step. Ours is the only right ways, ours is the only right religion, ours is the only right way of existence. Number 2 point. And thirdly, they go to even a more drastic step forward, say that others are all wrong. They will go for many theological sanctions within a text which they make available to themselves and say all others are wrong, only we are right. Now, when you get a generation taught in this manner, programmed in this manner, they cannot coexist with the multiple and plural. On the other hand, in the Veda-Upanishadic knowledge tradition, the epistemology of Veda-Upanishadic knowledge tradition is a coexistence of the multiple and plural. You can understand this from the very functioning of the Hindu Dharma with variety of deities. So many deities, they coexist, they don't contradict. And there's no contradiction when one goes from one deity to another deity, and in the same house, different people choose different upasana murtis, and there's no contradiction, they perfectly coexist in the most smoothest manner imaginable. So this madrasa education creates an epistemological blunder in a society, which creates a band or section of people who would mistrust others, who don't trust others, who don't accept others, who treat others as the other in capital letters, and who wouldn't want to coexist with them. This had been going on in a nation like Bharat, which is supposed to be an open gate to anyone, which is supposed to be an open gate with welcoming hands behind to anyone who's coming, who's entering, who's living. This had been our history. And in such a nation, you create a group of people who would say that you are wrong, I am right. And this is going on. And in some places, in fact many places, the government, in their utter desperate attempt to appease minority votes, the government supports such madrasa education, provides funds to the teachers and even pensions to the madrasa teachers. And what kind of people are teaching in the madrasa? The government has no control. Nobody has any control. No education organization, no education administration has any idea of what's happening there. And if you look at it, I don't want to go into the details, which people should be knowing. If you look into the details of things happening there, one can get a long inventory of complaints, of anomalies, and many such things. Many such things which are not speakable in many cases. Small children in the hands of people who are not at all educated in the proper sense of the term, but who are supposed to be madrasa teachers. And what should they teach? What they have learned? All are questionable things. You have to take the entire thing with a pinch of salt. So it's high time for a nation like us, which is already multiple and plural, and the multiplicity and plurality which are already sanctioned, understood and approved in our knowledge tradition. The Veda Upanishadic knowledge tradition, we know it, and we know how to coexist with the multiple and plural, which is not there in many societies. And it is this balance that this madrasa education is trying to destroy, which is very, very serious. See, on the one hand, we already have a tradition which is highly time tested. How many thousands of years it goes back in time, no one is sure. How many tens and tens of thousands of years it goes back in time, no one is sure. We are not very sure when the whole thing has originated. The only logic what one can say is that it must have started when Saraswati river was flowing in full swing. And how long did Saraswati flow? We don't know. So definitely most ancient in the entire cosmos, rather entire world. And that time-tested, purified knowledge tradition speaks about the coexistence of the multiple and plural, with each one dynamic in its own manner. Now, it's in this society that this madrasa education, whosoever is wanting to make anyone happy is a question different, is made to happen with state support, with the support of governments, and which goes against our original knowledge tradition, which is unquestionably the best in the world. You try to question this, and you yourself will find agreeing that this is the best way of knowing, coexisting, living in a complete society. So these madrasa education has been going on with the support of government, with all kinds of ingredients functioning. They have lobbies. The whole world has got many lobbies. Someone functions as deep states. They have got their own planned interest. I won't say vested interest. Vested is too mild a term. Planned interest of doing this and doing that. These people think they are the only smart ones in the world, others are not smart. But someone is in position to create the smartness or function in the smart by creating disturbance for others, for the entire world. They think they are right, but that's not the real thing. They create difficulties for the coexistence of others. This is madrasa education must be stopped. Must be stopped at all. And when we talk about equality, let's have equal education equal opportunity to education for all citizens, all children. Why someone is sent to this place, why someone is sent to that place? These days people are contemplating about a uniform syllabi in the entire nation, which is highly needed. Personally, I used to feel there should be uniform syllabi. There should be uniform education pattern. There should be a uniform way of imparting knowledge. What is to be taught and what is not to be taught has to be discussed. There is no, we cannot give autonomy beyond a point to regions, because then they will teach regional. It also has practical difficulties, because at national level we have one testing agency, we have one exams, one pattern of exams, and all these people have to compete in the same one. And if you have different types of education from different areas, the whole thing backfires. It doesn't help all students. It only will help some students who happen to be near this national pattern. So we are looking for a national education which is uniform as possible as it is. And in this situation, you have this parallel madrasa education, which I would call it very negative way of educating. So this negative education, there is a positive, that is very wider kind of perspective based education, which is based on many theories. And this madrasa education is still going on. Why don't we stop it? It's high time that we should stop these kind of things. We should stop. Think in those terms and then function towards it. We can't afford to have madrasa education which will destroy and disintegrate our society, create different types of citizens. I don't want my friend to be different from me, that different from me that you can't have a cup of tea with him. That will be the result with this kind of education which had been going on right from the beginning of Bharat. It's high time that one should stop it. Put an abrupt stop to this. It's because that's how the future generation can survive. Till we meet with some other thought again. Namaste. Jai Bharat. Jai Shri Ram.